Yes, we appreciate your support in listening to this very program. Thank you. I thank God the show started because I was watching the rally over there in New York at the Flushing. Where is it? The stadium over there in Flushing. I think it's Flushing. Who knows? Who cares? It's Mamdani and AOC and Bernie. Oh, Forest Hills. That's where it is. And, AOC was just yapping. It was making me nauseous. God. She's up there. She's got her, energetic, regular New York voice on. She didn't put her black voice on or her Hispanic voice. I guess because, it's New York. It's, Mamdani's crowd. So what is that really? I guess Indian? Something like that. Islam? Communist? I don't know what the communist accent is, aside from the old Russian accent. It was moose and squirrel. So, it was just making me sick. Talking about, how Mamdani's just gonna make New York amazing. Let's make New York an amazing place to live. Somehow with everyone else's money and everything's going to be free. And you guys are in some deep crap. I got to tell you. It is looking grim. And look, I know what the mindset is of many New Yorkers and some of my colleagues over on this very radio station. Some of my contemporaries, my colleagues, they want Curtis out, and they want everyone that does not want Zoran Mamdani to vote for Andrew Cuomo. And look, I see the strategy there. I'm not stupid, contrary to popular belief, and I see the strategy there. There isn't a chance Curtis win. We know this. And I think Curtis knows this too. But I think backing out of the race for him seems like quitting, seems like abandoning his base of support, his people, his principles and ideology. And, he's running a race. He's the candidate, the Republican candidate. He won the nomination. Cuomo didn't. Cuomo lost to Mamdani. He's an independent. And Curtis feels like, hey, I earned the Republican nomination. I'm staying in this. If anyone should drop out, it's Cuomo. And I understand that take on the whole thing. But even if Curtis dropped out, it's still such a long shot that Cuomo would win. But maybe. Look, we've seen stranger things in elections. Like I was talking about, the Hillary thing, Her birthday 9 years ago, posting that little picture. A future president's birthday. Happy birthday to the future president. Just a couple of weeks from the election. They had that wrapped up. There was no way possible that Hillary was losing that race. And it looks right now like there's no way possible Zoran Mamdani is going to lose the New York mayoral race. But stranger things have happened. I for the sake of everyone I know and love in New York, a part of me hopes he does not win. Then there's this twisted, sick part of me, especially not having to live in New York, that wants to see. We all like to enjoy a good I told you so, don't we? It's so petty and cheap. I get it. I understand. but there's just something so satisfying. I told you, with the little smirk, you put that obnoxious smirk on your face. You look someone right in the eyes. Maybe you give a quick little head nod when you smile and go, yeah, I told you. And they get all mad. And there's just this basic human element of satisfaction that goes along with it. And I've spoken and read a lot of comments on social media from people that just cannot wait for the I told you so moment after Danny gets elected and starts his dismantling of New York City. Any recognizable part of New York that we know and maybe enjoyed, I just can't see it lasting under a Zoran Mamdani mayorship. So, yeah, there's part of a lot of people that are saying, yeah, I want to see it. And it gives validation. If he loses, a lot of people won't get to see the damage he would have done. Now, that does sound spiteful. Like, oh, I hope he wins so we could see all the damage he can do. It's a terrible thing to want. But it really is the only way to show people, to shove their nose in it and go, look, we told you this. We told you this was going to happen. It's a disaster. And if he doesn't win, then, all of his supporters and all these liberal commies and what have you, they get the opportunity to look at whoever is mayor and whatever missteps they make and go, would have been so much better under Zoran Mamdani, because we never saw a Zoran Mamdani mayor. So in order to validate what everyone is saying about what a disaster he would be as mayor, we kind of have to see it. And I apologize for part of me wanting that. And I know, like I said, my colleagues over there at the radio station, they don't agree with that. There's a couple that do. I know the big boss, John wants Curtis to drop out. He's not demanding he drop out. It's an opinion. Same thing with Sid. Sid Rosenberg does the morning show over there, and he's gotten a lot of heat for saying, I just don't want Mamdani to be mayor. I don't want Cuomo, but I more don't want Mamdani. And that's absolutely understandable. It leaves a horrible taste in a conservative or Republican or right-wing person's mouth to want Andrew Cuomo to be elected to any office that involves your life. If you live or work in New York City, oh, God. Let's not forget what a nightmare an Andrew Cuomo mayor will be, too. Probably not as bad as Mamdani in a lot of respects, but certainly it will not be good. You will get the continuing sanctuary city for illegals. He's talked about that. Mayor Adams at some point had to turn on the left and the Democrats in Washington. He had to turn on them and say, these illegals are costing the city way too much money. And I think part of that was his own skin, to save his own ass from indictment. He kind of parroted the Republican, the Trump agenda in New York, and his indictment, his corruption indictment, went away. That's kind of nice if you're Mayor Adams. And then the left just turned their back on him and started threatening him. But the good part of it is they closed down a lot of these illegal alien hotels. They stopped giving them the credit cards and money, and it helped. And Andrew Cuomo will absolutely bring that back. And don't think it it just supplies room and board at your expense, at the taxpayer's expense for illegals, it affects you trying to get a hotel room. I visit New York about once a month. Trying to get a hotel when all of the hotels are packed with illegals, it's supply and demand. Try to get a hotel room. You know, I don't want to be in any of the sleazy hotels that they're propping up the illegals in. But even if you're not, try to get a room at the Renaissance or the Four Seasons or the Ritz or anywhere. They will jack the prices up double times triple because there's no room available because the illegals are in there. And that's what Andrew Cuomo will continue as mayor of New York. He's a liberal Democrat. Don't be fooled. But they want, Republicans to go out and save their asses. They have a candidate, Curtis Sliwa. He doesn't have a chance of winning. I get that. But it's no party having Andrew Cuomo in there either. Anyway, all right, plenty more. Oh, my God, plenty more show to go. If you want to join in on the phones, 800-848-9222. Don't go anywhere. Back with a lot more of the Anthony Cumia Show.
Hey, homeowners, when was the last time you checked on your home title? That, of course, is the legal record proving that you own your home. Yep, if your answer is never, then this is for you. Scammers are stealing titles. Yeah, they're stealing the title to your home. Your equity is the target. That's why I partnered with Home Title Lock so you could find out today if you're already a victim. Don't be a victim. Use my promo code Anthony at HometitleLock.com and you'll get a free title history report. Plus, you're going to get a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection.
Hello, Susan. Yes. What's up, Susan?
Anthony, I'm going to be as serious as a heart attack tonight.
Uh-oh.
I worked on the elections for many years in New York City. I was a coordinator. And the ballot where Curtis...
Fiorello LaGuardia?
No, in Brooklyn.
Right, Susan. Make believe I didn't even interrupt you and continue. Susan, Corning, New York.
Okay, you're adorable. But no, listen. So on the ballot, Curtis and Mamdani are going head to head. Mamdani on the A line as a Democrat, Curtis on the B line. Now, Cuomo is on some line. It's called Fight and Deliver. Never has anyone voted on that line. It's a made-up line.
Sounds like an Uber driver in Harlem. Fight and Deliver. Thank you.
Yeah, but this is very serious because when people come in and they look at this ballot and Cuomo, he's the one that should drop out. Because they even said that Curtis has a better chance if he's closer, if Cuomo drops out, and I believe it's not being stated that because it will be a head-to-head. Cuomo, first of all, has even discussed, people, please come and vote for me on the independent line of Fight and Deliver. No. Never one vote. It's a lot new of people, line. Susan, it's a made-up line.
Susan, a lot of people, idiots won't be able to find him on the ballot. Right. Also, he does have more support than Curtis has, but as I see it, more people would that would vote for Cuomo would vote for Curtis if Cuomo wasn't there. I don't think you're going to get anybody that wants to vote for Curtis that would vote for Cuomo the other way around. So Curtis dropping out, I don't know how much it's going to help Cuomo, but it's looking very grim. I can see them wanting Curtis to drop out, just numbers wise. If you look at the percentage, Cuomo is leading Curtis. So you think the person that is third place here is the one that should drop out. But, I've made my case clear. You have too, Susan, and I do appreciate your call. It really is crazy. It really is a crazy race going on, because I don't understand how a New York, a city that went through so much on 9/11, and you got Zoran. You know, what was he doing? Crying the other day? Was he crying? Zoran, are you crying? He was crying, talking about his aunt who suffered during 9/11 of 2001, of course, because she was getting bullied for being a Muslim. Can we get a bigger who gives a crap after hearing that one? Yeah, let's listen to Zoran Mamdani talk about his aunt being bullied after 9/11.
I want to use this moment to speak to the Muslims of New York City.
Now he bows his head and tries to scrounge up some tears. He was literally rubbing his eyes trying to...
I want to speak to the memory of my aunt.
More tears, more tears.
Who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
Hijab. He's trying to muster up some tears. Oh, she didn't feel safe. Oh, boo-hoo for Zoran Mamdani's aunt in her hijab, whatever. What? Did we really just completely forget? Everything, never forget and always remember, and the heroes of 9/11 and the horrific people plummeting to their deaths. It was a nightmare. And now you have an extreme Muslim communist who is, he's going to be your mayor. What happened, New York? You went insane. And he actually brings up his bullied aunt who stopped with taking the subway. How about people now? Commuters, New Yorkers that want to take the subway and can't. And it ain't being bullied. It isn't about being called names. It's about being pushed in front of a subway train or having your head cracked open with a pipe or being shot or stabbed or all the above. How about that part? What are you going to do about that? Nothing. Nothing. He's just going to make it worse. You'll have less enforcement down in the subways and more people getting assaulted and murdered. But when he told that story, and he's got his Islamic posse behind him, and he's trying to muster up some tears for his poor bullied aunt after 9/11, I couldn't watch any films of 9/11. I couldn't watch any of the explosions. The people falling out of the buildings were the worst possible thing. You were so able to put yourself in that position. I don't think anybody watched those videos and didn't imagine the unbelievable horror of having to make that decision. Not like it was much of a decision. Stay there and burn or plummet 100 and some odd stories to your death. And Zoran's talking about his poor aunt who after that had to be pointed at and mocked and even threatened. And yeah, sorry. New Yorkers were a little shaken up at that point, Zoran. A little shaken up by what they saw. And he's using that as a selling point? And people are buying it? He's got 13,000 people. 13,000 people right now at the Forest Hills Stadium with Bernie. His Bernie Sanders is over there. AOC's over there. And it's packed. And they're cheering like Like, there's no tomorrow. For what? They're excited to have this guy in. I don't know. I try to, like, count years backwards and think, how long after World War II and Pearl Harbor and so were we able to look at the Japanese people and go, okay, well, he seems all right. They seem okay. I think it was a long time. I remember when I was a kid, and that was in the late 60s, early 70s, 30, 40 years later, and people were still saying, using slurs for Japanese people, and, that was made in Japan. It's Japanese junk, so they would call it. And in 2 decades and change, we're putting this guy into office as mayor of the city that was decimated, the financial district, the trade center, just decimated by Islam, and we just put this guy in now. It's all fine, well and dandy. I don't know, New York. You disappoint me. You disappoint me, New York. I know I left. I had to. It was getting way too shady over there, and it seems like I left just in time because you guys are screwed with this guy getting into office. Do whatever you can. And if it's voting for Curtis, give it a whirl. I don't know. All right, back in a moment with more. So many clowns, so little time. This one, of course, this week, it's New York Senator, actually, I think she's from Brooklyn, Julia Salazar. Julia Salazar, she is calling for, there has to be, let me see, Salazar calls for NYPD to arrest ICE agents. All right, hold on. I'm going to look right here. Boom, boom, boom. Oops, it isn't a sound. Ha ha. All right, I did it again. Every week. Look forward to it. It's like a segment. But I do have her statement here. Of course, ICE has been running their operations in a lot of these liberal Democrat blue cities. And it's a mess. They are trying their darndest, the politicians in these states, to get in the way, to interfere with ICE and their operations. We voted for Donald Trump. He won the election. He had more voters than Kamala Harris did, or Biden would have, that's for sure. And he put out there one of his campaign promises to get rid of these illegals. And he's been doing it with ICE and the Border Patrol, and the FBI gets involved. Whatever it takes, get out. So Senator Salazar, she's calling for law enforcement to arrest ICE officers in New York. Yeah. She wants the NYPD to cuff ICE agents and arrest them. State Senator Julia Salazar, chair of the Committee on Crime Victims, Crime and Corrections, released the following. The NYPD, the New York State Police, and other New York law enforcement agencies must protect New Yorkers from the violent actions of ICE officers and other federal officers. If an ICE officer assaults a New Yorker, that officer must be arrested and prosecuted by state and local authorities. Can you believe this? They're doing their job. And in many instances, especially in places like New York, people get involved and they throw themselves in between the cops and their jobs. and they try to free the illegals that are being arrested by ICE, and they get in the way of their law enforcement operations, and they're thrown to the ground sometimes and cuffed and arrested or pushed out of the way. Sometimes they just push them. They fall on their ass. It makes a hilarious video for us to watch. She's saying that if they do that, that the NYPD, you know, the bloated DEI hire NYPD, should go, all right, freeze ICE officer, hands behind your back, you're under arrest. Can you imagine what an ICE officer would say to that? Some roly-poly woman cop? He'd laugh in her face, and well, he should. She continues, assaulting someone is a crime in New York State and is no less a crime because the violent attack is undertaken by a law enforcement officer, whether that is a corrections officer, an NYPD officer, or a federal officer. Former Speaker of the House, Representative Nancy Pelosi, and San Francisco District Attorney Brooke Jenkins recently made clear that if federal officers engage in unlawful excessive force in San Francisco, local authorities can and will arrest them. I call on New York law enforcement and political leaders to publicly make the same commitment to uphold the law. New Yorkers have a right to expect our law enforcement to enforce the law. Julius Salazar. Yeah. Give it a whirl. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see that. And by the way, when they talk about New Yorkers, they're talking about the illegals also, not just the protesters. They're not protesters. They're interfering with criminal arrests and federal law enforcement operations. And they should hold them to that. They really should arrest these people, put them in jail, hold them to it. No deals, no nothing. Prosecute them. It's the only way any of this stops is through real consequence to their actions. And then not just the little zip cuffs. Put them in metal handcuffs. Let them sit in a cell for a while and then indict them on real charges of interfering with federal law enforcement operations. And maybe their dumb friends will hear about it and go, maybe I won't go there today and try to be Mr. Liberal hero to these illegals. We asked Donald Trump to do this. He gave the job to the appropriate federal law enforcement authorities, and he's doing it. And the fact that people are getting in the way and politicians and local law enforcement are interfering with those operations, round them up too. Arrest them. That's what I say. Of course, Jimmy Kimmel and Ted Danson were doing some podcast. I'm so tired of it. Everyone's a podcaster. You know, maybe you can act. I mean, I found Tony Danza. I found Ted Danson and Tony Danza funny. Ted Danson and Cheers, and then Curb Your Enthusiasm. And Jimmy Kimmel I've never found funny, but somehow they've got a podcast. Is it Ted Danson's podcast? I don't know. I don't even know whose podcast these are. But just because you act doesn't mean you can broadcast or you're any good at broadcasting or podcasting. It's just everyone's decided they can be a podcaster. I see the end of this right on the horizon, too, people. We look back at, I think if we were around, we could all look back at the early 80s, early to mid 80s. Remember that time? It was stand-up comedy was kind of the same thing podcasting's going through. It's easier to do a podcast now. You don't have to get into a comedy club and get past an owner of a comedy club. But back then, it was as easy as it could be for stand-up comedy, especially at the time. If everyone and anyone decided, I'm going to be a stand-up. My friends tell me I'm funny. And then the whole stand-up comedy, those circles were just saturated with so many hacks. Terrible. Not funny. A bunch of people imitating the likes of Jerry Seinfeld and other popular comedians of the time. And there were, every weekend, there were half-hour or hour-long comedy shows. And, you know, the host would come out and they'd bring up just a line of who gives a crap comedians. And then, after a while, people noticed that most of them suck, and they went away, and the cream rose to the top. The popular good comics continued and became successful, and it weeded out the disastrous hacks that were in the business. I think we have reached that point with podcasting. I truly think we are exhausted. The market is super saturated with podcasts. Everyone has one, and most of them aren't worth a second of your listening time. So, Jimmy Kimmel and Ted Danson somehow, I think it's something to do with Conan O'Brien and his podcasting and what, like I said, who even knows anymore? But the important thing, here they are talking about the deportations of what Trump's doing and asking, what would Jesus think? Yeah, let's listen.
Christianity is
something else
has
now
been co-opted and perverted in such a way, and that I find especially upsetting. And that, you know, I think about what Jesus would think of this stuff, you know, and I mean, it seems pretty plain that he wouldn't think it's great, that he wouldn't approve of nannies being yanked out of the park and thrust into a van to be returned to their home countries because their paperwork is not in order. That just all really seems very obvious to me. And I think that it is to most people, but it's become this us versus them. It's become almost like sports, where I root for the red team and you root for the blue team, and everything the blue team does is good and everything the red team does is bad, and vice versa. And I just sometimes I hope, and maybe foolishly, that it will resonate with at least those people who don't have their minds completely made up.
Ugh. All of a sudden, the left is concerned about the sanctity of Christianity. All the left does is trash Christianity. They crap all over it. It's the only religion that they can completely mock, defile. How many of these ridiculous transgender pride events mock Jesus and Christianity? Award shows where they're putting on some debaucherous entertainment where it's a mock-up of the Last Supper, and they're all drag queens and trans people. And so knock it off with your, they're using Christianity. Yeah, using it to say, let's be Christian about something, or this is my religion. I don't like the way you're portraying it. Not what would Jesus do about dragging illegals out of the country? How about what would Jesus think, if we're going to play that game, of mutilating young children under this guise of gender-affirming care? I wonder what Jesus would think about altering his dad's handiwork and chopping off healthy breasts of a pubescent child, a girl, having doctors mutilate children, give them drugs that alter their sexuality. How about that? Why don't you ask Jesus that one? Jimmy Kimmel. They're so disgusting. This they can do and say no wrong. All of a sudden, oh, they're weaponizing Christianity, or they're using it to fight the left, or maybe Jesus would go, well, there are borders, there are laws, there are rules. I don't know. If they want to throw someone out because they don't belong here, whatever. Who knows? Who knows what Jesus would do? I have to imagine, though, that he would not like the idea of desecrating the sanctity of the human body, the flesh, cutting off organs, calling people genders that they aren't, the opposite of what their God-given birth gender was. But, they don't bring that up. How are Christians weaponizing Christianity? By adhering to their religion? Anytime a Muslim wants to adhere to their religion, they got some pretty drastic stuff that they still practice. Not a word is spoken. First of all, they're scared out of their wits that they'll be murdered if they criticize Islam. Judaism too. There's supposedly this big rash of anti-Semitism going on these days, but I don't see a lot of professional people really jumping in there and getting on the bandwagon. Seems like a lot of people that can't be canceled that have a problem. Other people know better. Keep your yap shut. But Christianity? Oh, it's easy. You could go on national television, a huge award show, whatever it is, and mock Christianity, mock the highest of the people, the essence, the spirit of Christianity, and it's fine. If you complain about it, oh, please, who cares? But now, the likes of Jimmy Kimmel, oh, they're using it against us. It's the red team and the blue team. Is it? Yeah. Yeah, it is. Your blue team is evil. It sucks. It's about destruction and tearing down people's ideology and what they hold near and dear to them. That's what it is. That's your team. And when we complain about it, we're intolerant, and then we're supposed to tolerate everything. In a couple of minutes after the next break, we'll talk about, the White House and how they're losing their mind over the ballroom that Donald Trump's putting next to the White House. How about we talk about that? Because they want to say that he's desecrating the White House, tearing down the White House. The hyperbole knows no limits with them. How history is being removed and rewritten and destroyed. And they were the ones plucking statues out of the ground like rotten teeth, just pulling them out and destroying them and rewriting history by getting rid of these monuments and statues. And because what? They were Civil War soldiers? What about removing Teddy Roosevelt's statue from the Museum of Natural History in New York City? Oh, because an indigenous person and an African were on the ground walking next to his horse? That was somehow offensive? So you rip it out? That isn't being rebuilt. That isn't being replaced like the White House is with the reconstruction of the East Wing and the ballroom. Those are gone. They're not coming back. That's destroying history. We'll talk about that a lot more in a few minutes. The remodeling, the East Wing, the ballroom that Trump is building. I listened to a clip the other day. It's Donald Trump in 2016 when he was campaigning for president for his first term. And he's talking about the ballroom. He was saying that it's ridiculous that we have to have our foreign dignitaries come here and they have to set up tents like it's, a wedding in someone's backyard. Tents are set up and it's not safe security wise and it's costly. Oh, but this is $250 million. Yeah. And well worth the price. Believe me, after years and years and years, if you're just using these tents and there's just something cheap about it. It's the United States of America. The president should have something a little more lavish than smelly tents when they're having foreign dignitaries over or doing a function for people in this country when they're invited to the White House. It should be a much bigger thing. It's completely in line with Washington, D.C. architecture. And it's funny because that's part of what they're complaining about is its opulence, this grand ballroom. Yeah. What do you want? A little shack on the side? A little outhouse? Do you know they put portable toilets in the tents or just outside the tents also? So, these people got to go to portable Johns. This is something that should be built. It's built with private funds. Donald Trump and donors are building this for $250 million. And like I said, it's right in line with Washington, D.C. architecture. And here's another thing that has been making the rounds. I think, what's the idiot? Swalwell. Swalwell's been saying this. One of his tweets. Don't even think of seeking the Democrat nomination for president unless you pledge to take a wrecking ball to the Trump ballroom on day one. So again, how an immature, just a childlike take on the whole thing. Like, kick down his sandcastle. Look, he left. Let's kick it over. That's what they're thinking. And meanwhile, look, anyone that runs for president has to be a narcissist. Even Trump, obviously I'm not going to say Trump isn't narcissistic, but every president is. You have to be in order to think you're the guy. You're the one that is going to run the world. You got to have a touch of narcissism. So you think a Democrat, a Republican, anyone goes through that arduous process, that horrible process of winning the presidency. And now you're sworn in and you're the president of the United States. You don't think they're going to look at that ballroom and go, that is awesome. This is mine. Oh, they might change the name of it or redecorate it. But if you think for a second a newly elected Democrat president is going to take a wrecking ball to it, they're going to have their cronies and buddies and world leaders in that thing, partying their asses off, making speeches, being all, ensconced in its grandeur and opulence. They're going to love it. They are going to love this thing. I don't care what party you belong to. If you're the president and you walk into this amazing ballroom, and that's what it's going to be, and you can use it for your state affairs. Oh, yeah, knock it down. Let's go back to the tents. We'll rebuild the East Wing, which wasn't really being used for anything. And, we'll go back to the tents like a graduation in someone's backyard. They're going to love it. I don't care who they are, what party they are, how much they hate Trump. They aren't touching that thing. They're going to go, this is some sweet digs we got right here. So, yeah, with that, we have some sound clips we'll be getting to in the next hour. David Axelrod is mad. Anderson Cooper's mad. Everyone's mad. Who else we got here? There's more comparisons to 9/11, which is disgusting. How do you compare demolition and rebuilding of the White House, a part of the White House, with 9/11? Disgusting. That Zoran was talking about. I can't believe I'm saying things like Masuma Mamdani and Zoran. What happened? What happened to Bob and Bill and Pete? Masuma Mamdani, the aunt that Zoran was talking about, the one that was bullied and couldn't take the subways in New York because she wore her hijab. And it was after 9/11. And, well, it turns out she never wore a hijab. And she was in Tanzania. She was in Tanzania. From here, it says January of 99 to December of 2003, working with childhood illnesses, water and sanitation, HIV, AIDS, evaluation of sexually transmitted diseases services. She was in Tanzania. So, whoops. Who knew he'd be a lying sack? There you go. Poor Aunt Mom, whatever. I can't be bothered to figure out names that are alien. It's like Alien. It's like Star Trek. Any of the beings, the alien beings. That's what it's like. I don't feel I should have to learn things like Zoran Memdani. I don't want to. Ilhan Omar. I don't want to have to know this. I don't want that name to have anything to do with my life here in America. But yeah, someone thought we needed that. Some people thought we needed to say things like Zoran Memdani. It's disgusting. Okay, let's go to the old phone lines. Kevin in Long Beach. What's up, Kev?
Yeah, how you doing, Ed? Yeah, if people want to get an idea of what it's going to be like here when he wins the mayoral election, they should just look at video of Dearborn, Michigan, and Minneapolis, where they start blasting the prayer call at 5 a.m. in the morning over the civil defense.
Yeah, 5 times a day.
And they can do it anywhere they want. They can just lay the mat down and go wild.
Yeah, in the middle of streets. We see this a lot, and it's a real screw you to Americans to just go in it's all choreographed. It's not one guy. It's a crowd of people putting down their prayer rugs in the middle of the road and stopping traffic. They don't have any love for the American people or the American way of life. And yeah, just like you said, Kevin, you look at these cities that already have these Islamic leaders. They turn the city into some Islamic enclave. And if you're not part of that, you are not welcome. And all they want to do is expand it, make it bigger, more people, because the final goal is to have an Islamic state, the United States to be an Islamic state.
And they say that. They say
of course, they're not even hiding it.
No, it's right out in the open.
Yeah.
Can I get a word about Curtis?
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
I think Curtis is showing great stick-to-itiveness, tenacity, strength and conviction with no money. And, I mean, he's really working hard to do this. And to just turn your back on him, I don't think is right, man.
Yeah.
Let him finish the job he started.
Yep.
And you hear a lot of people saying, I get calls all the time that I should run and this other. Then do it. Put your money where your mouth is. But this man is doing it with very little money. Yeah. And you got to give him credit.
Let's not forget, he is the Republican candidate. I
understand all of that.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah,
I understand all of it. But you understand this is really important to him. I mean,
I get it too. Yeah, this is a guy who wants to take this right to the election. So I respect Curtis. I like what he's doing.
And they said the recent polls got him a lot closer in one day,
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens election day. They're already early voting, so and then Mamdani's got this big rally happening. But then again, Kamala had these giant rallies with all the celebrities. Remember all that nonsense? Oh my God, Beyonce and Jay-Z and Bruce Springsteen and what happened? You lost every swing state and lost the popular vote. So that doesn't really mean anything. But I mean, they got 13,000 people with AOC, Bernie and Mamdani tonight, so at Forest Hill Stadium. So, what does it all mean? I don't think you could tell until Election Day, Kevin. Thank you, man. Yeah. Appreciate it. Appreciate the call. Oh my God. Yeah. Back to, the White House. Oh, it's just, to listen to them talk. They are in full, panic mode that Donald Trump is driving a bulldozer right through the front doors of the residential White House mansion. I don't even think many people could have told you what the East Wing of the White House was. If they knew what the West Wing was, it was just because of that stupid Martin Sheen show. That's the only reason they would know that. They probably never knew there was an East Wing. And when they talk about demolishing the White House, in their dumb heads, they're picturing the residence, the big square cracker box White House with the columns. And he's knocking that down. And the media, by the way, would photograph it that way to fool people and let them be outraged. They took the photo from the south facing north. So you'd see the residence in the background, but you couldn't really tell because of the depth of field how far the construction was. So it kind of looked like they were taking away pieces of the actual residence. And, of course, that isn't true. The East Wing is gone. Yeah. It will be rebuilt in order to connect the White House to the ballroom. That's what you do. You engineer it. You have architects and you have builders and all the tradespeople that have to draw out plumbing and electricity. All those people get together and you demolition, the old, and you build the new. I'm sure that walkway that went from the mansion to the South Wing building is going to be unbelievably stunning. Unbelievably stunning. They're probably going to want to update the walkway between the residence and the West Wing. But they just see it all ripped apart and they cry and lose their mind. And, it's worse than 9/11. Here's Joe Scarborough and Mika, the power couple from MSNBC, soon to be unemployed Joe and Mika, crying over the ballroom. Let's listen.
But this
far different.
is painful. I mean, this is historic structure.
It's history being torn to shreds. And again, is everybody, I mean, so if somebody wants to go into the White House, the next person wants to just knock down all the walls and turn it into a disco, Congress can't do anything? I mean, seriously, you're destroying like one of the most historic structures on the planet.
Yeah. And the cost.
And are we saying that whoever we elect president has the right to destroy? Like what? Just tear things up, tear it to the ground, turn it into something else? Kind of crazy.
Yeah, I don't think it's not your home that you purchased in Jersey.
No, it's not yours. You rent it from the American people for 4 years.
Let's get to our top story.
Shut up. It's the people's house. Is it? Why don't you pull up to the gate with your car, get out, and walk to the front door and see if you could grab a snack from the fridge. It's the people's house. It's our house. It is. Try to go to a party there next time. Go to the party at the White House or, check in, knock on the door and see if you could talk to the president in your house. It's so stupid. They take everything literally. They're destroying it. The history. What if a nut wants to, a president is a nut and he wants to knock the building down and build a disco? Well, I think that's grounds for the 25th Amendment. I think you could probably get people to prevent a president from ripping down the White House and building a disco, Joe Scarborough. It's a little different than remodeling the East Wing and building a ballroom because you have to use tents for the time being. Yeah, that's as crazy. They always take it to the umpteenth level. Oh, he's renovating the East Wing. Why not just blow up the Capitol with a hydrogen bomb? Really? You going to go that far with this? But this is who they are. They're drama queens. They can't work within the parameters of reality. They don't want to assess something. They hate the guy so much that he's got to come up with a scenario in his head of a lunatic president building a disco. Joe Scarborough showing his age there. Studio 54 right there on Pennsylvania Avenue. All right, plenty more sound and this White House ballroom thing and your calls coming up next. Anthony Cumia Show continues. I usually post something before the show saying, hey, I'm just starting the show up at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And I look at it during the show. And if you want to post something there, a comment or some news item that I might have missed, do that. Good way to get in touch with me during the show, other than the phone lines, which I know can be tied up pretty quickly. But one of the things I've just noticed here, 40 years of fine tuning. That's his name. He goes, you forgot all about Ted Danson's funniest role of all, and it's the blackface Ted Danson. Howard Stern was doing something many years ago, and Ted Danson, who was going out with Whoopi Goldberg at the time, wore blackface at a different event. It wasn't the Howard Stern event. It was something else. But he was in like oldie time, real offensive vaudevillian style blackface. And I forgot that Jimmy Kimmel and Ted Danson had that in common, working in blackface. These are your liberals, your moral high ground, telling you how to live your life, telling you what Jesus would think. And there they were in full blackface regalia, these hypocrites. Clam up. But thank you for pointing that out, sir. This is a X. Well, it was so easy to call them tweets when it was Twitter, and I think we still do. But with X, it's like, what do you call the posts? They're still tweets, really. I just call it an X post sometimes, but irregardless. This is from Carlos Gates on X. This is the pinnacle of ridiculous, moronic, stupid takes on things. On 9/11, Americans on Flight 93 gave their lives to stop Osama bin Laden's plane from striking the White House. In 1 week, Donald Trump has desecrated their sacrifice, finishing the damage bin Laden could not. I'll let that soak in for a while. I'll let you let that sink in. Believe me, this is not the only take I've seen on this that evokes 9/11 and the fact that, they wanted to hit the White House and the Flight 93 passengers thwarted that attack and they crashed in Pennsylvania. To then say that Donald Trump finished that job by remodeling, by doing the initial demolition that is done anytime you do a remodeling job. It's another thing. First of all, they're idiots to even say something like that. It is unbelievably disrespectful to the dead, the people on Flight 93, the people that died on 9/11, to try to say that there's any similarity between what Trump is doing at the White House and 9/11 is a sick, twisted, disgusting thing to say. And the other thing is, I just don't think any of these lefties know what a real job is, what a real construction job is, what it entails. Have they ever been on a job site and worked as a tradesman? The plumber, electrician, steam fitter, the carpenters, the tin knockers, all the people that go to a field and then in time there's a building there, a functioning building that people can now work in or live in, and what it takes to do that. They don't know. What do they think when you rip something out like the walkway and the East Wing, that it never comes back again, that it sits there as rubble, that we got to make a monument out of it like 9/11? It's basic construction. And it's only the hatred of Trump and the wanting everything that he does to be some evil deed that you would ever come up with a scenario where demoing the East Wing and the walkway is equivalent to the 9/11 attacks. What sick individuals, sick, disturbed people. Oh my God. And David Axelrod, his name's Axelrod. Yeah, like he's got an Axelrod. That's right, Beavis. David Axelrod is slamming Trump about the White House ballroom on Anderson Cooper. Oh boy, I wonder what this is all about. Let's listen, shall we?
Could you possibly have passed up the opportunity to have a huge ballroom?
Well, I had the same reaction. First of all, I passed it on to the social secretary because I wasn't exactly the ballroom guy. But I had the same reaction I have now. I don't think there's one. You could tap any American on the shoulder right now and say, where does a ballroom at the White House rank on your list of priorities and desires? And not one of them will say, yeah, that's what we need, especially in the middle of a tough economy as we were back in 2010. The only American who was hungering for a ballroom was Donald Trump. And now he thinks that he has the authority to go and destroy what is essentially a sacred historic site. And put up, a palace because he thinks he's a king.
The king.
And I don't think this is going to sit well with the American people who have much higher priorities than a gigantic ballroom in the where the part of the White House used to stand.
David,
you know what Americans don't like it? I don't think this is going to sit well with the American people. Yeah, everyone that voted for Kamala Harris. Because nothing Trump does will ever be good. So, yeah, I could see that. Do you think Trump voters care that he's building a ballroom? Like they're mad at it? First of all, another thing, they're not used to the taxpayers not footing the bill for anything. So they still can't get that out of their head. Oh, the people are hurting. The government is shut down. There's people not being paid. The economy, this, that, the other thing. This isn't being funded by taxpayers. They don't even know what that's like. You're speaking another language to them when you say the taxpayer won't have to pay for this. It does not compute. They go crazy. That's what they can't understand. So, yeah, it's being built. And like I said earlier, it looks like it fits into the Washington, D.C., like ancient Greece architecture. And it's needed. It's something that's needed. It might not be a top priority, but it's not like Trump is out there digging with a shovel to make sure it goes in. He delegated responsibility for the job, and he's doing other things. He's doing the performing the duties of the president of the United States. What do the people care if that's going up? Did they care in post World War II when Harry Truman gutted the entire residence and rebuilt that? Was that something they deemed necessary? Did they like it? It's after World War II. There's a lot going on in the world that the president, his attention was necessary. Truman wasn't in there digging. They have to come up with anything to make this a problem. Yet they won't sign a clean bill to reopen the government. That's a problem they could actually solve today, but they just won't do it. Bastards. All right, don't go anywhere. Plenty more to come, and your calls next.
Everyone loves when I talk about our good friend Steven Singer. Hey, it's Anthony Cumia here. I've been telling you about Steven, the I Hate Steven Singer guy, for decades. If you haven't heard yet, Steven Singer Jewelers was named one of America's leading jewelers. There are almost 18,000 jewelers in America, and less than 50 jewelers have received this wonderful honor. Just another reason why other jewelers hate him. They hate Steven Singer. Steven's a jeweler you can trust. He has the best guarantees, the best warranties, and all at the perfect price 365 days a year. Steven always has the best value on real diamond jewelry. No phony sales, no fake discounts or pricing games, no nonsense ever. Just easy and fun. That's why he's considered one of the most trusted jewelers in America. No one does diamonds better. Experience the difference at Steven Singer Jewelers. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com.
Hey, good evening, Anthony. First of all, there's something I want to talk about the Islam, but I do want to point something out that seems to have gone over everybody's head like a Bill Clinton whitewash job. Obama, a $400 million basketball court in the White House?
Yeah, they've all done it.
How could you spend $400 million on a basketball court?
And it was a converted tennis court, so it wasn't even like they really had to do a lot.
That seems like that needs some investigation.
Never.
It's a shame. It's a real shame that you almost have to keep a list of what everybody did in the past to the White House. I mean, this is just incredible. You
could see what side the swamp, whatever you want to call it, the media, the this, the that, what side they're attached to like barnacles. They would never investigate Saint Barack. That would never happen. But Donald Trump does anything. And they say, 25th Amendment and we need an investigation. He needs to be impeached again. They were blatantly lying about what permissions were needed. Like, the Senate and Congress need to approve any construction done on the White House, which is an absolute lie and so easily researched to see that that is not true. The president has say over that. He needs to pass it by some of the members of the D.C. Historical Society, or whatever the actual name of that is, but to make sure, like Joe Scarborough said, you're not building a disco. They want things that are conducive and fit in well with the architecture, but they're not. You don't have to get permission from Congress or the Senate to do something to the White House as the president. They lie constantly to wind everybody up, Joaquin.
I know, but, the whole media, unfortunately, I wish we had more media on our side to paint a true picture of everything that's going on. But now I want to get to the whole Islam thing. Can you give me any evidence of where there is moderate Islam?
No.
I fail to see it, whenever people, and I'm not saying that, I don't want to attack individual people, okay?
Right.
But, the fact of the matter is that if you read the Quran, if you study Islam, you'll come to see that basically it's more than just a religion. It's a whole strategy to take over the world, to make everyone submit to it. And, someone mentioned the prayer calls in Minnesota and wherever else and Dearborn, Michigan. But I heard a caller recently say that they have it on Long Island too now.
Yes, I did hear that. Yeah, Long Island, a neighborhood in Long Island, has agreed to have the call to prayer play 5 times a day. And I think that's a strategy in and of itself to drive out people that aren't Muslim so that more Muslims can get. Everything they do is to grab a foothold. They want a beachhead, and then they grow it from there, like we've seen in Minneapolis and Dearborn.
Well, people need to go online and they need to start watching some of these imams who are actually telling you exactly what they want to do. They want to bring Islam into the schools.
Yeah.
They want to convert our children. They want to take over Western society. I mean, this is a life and death struggle that's going on. And you know what? They can be free to live their lives in peace. I don't want to, talk about killing anybody or anything.
No, of course not.
There comes a point where you have to draw the line and say, we don't allow to look at any country, that is predominantly Islamic. They have Sharia law, and anybody who tries to tell you that Sharia law, you don't understand it, you don't know about it. Everything that you fear about it is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. Thanks, Joaquin. Another banner call from Joaquin. He makes great points, and why did America have to become the place where, it starts off as a good idea. Hey, you're persecuted in your own country. You want a better way of life. Come here to America. It's a huge, empty, new country. And there's a lot of risk involved, literally life and death risk in certain parts of the country if you wanted to go west and build a life for yourself and raise a family and build the country. The country needed people. Not like what they say now. We need illegals to, work the farms. That's a bunch of bull. There are plenty of young Americans who would step into some of these jobs. Pay them. Oh, an orange is now 5 cents more than it was. Don't care. If it's driving an American economy with American employees, all the better. They lie about that. But many, many years ago, it was a great idea. Yeah, come here, assimilate, become Americans. And now that whole concept has been twisted, turned, and bastardized into anyone can come here, even if they despise this country, and their goal is to completely change it and stamp out any American institution and drive their flag of oppression and Sharia law and other stuff, put that flag into the ground. And now it's their country. It's their country. And if you say anything about it, off with your head. How did that happen? And why are we doing it? I mean, sometimes things can happen and then you give it some thought and go, whoa, we gotta check this. We have to fix this problem. And a lot of Americans have woken up to that and want to fix it. And you're called racist, Islamophobic, xenophobic. You're a terrible, intolerant bigot. Why? Because we woke up, looked around and said, this is not America. This is not the way America functions. And these people are not Americans. They hate us. And they're using all their power to get into our political system like a tumor and use our own system against us. And then use the media as their propaganda tool and villainize everybody that has noticed and turned and went, whoa, this is not good. They're getting footholds in all these little Islam enclaves. And now New York is right there being offered up to an Islamic mayor. Look what happened in London. Look what happened in London. You could definitely look there and take note and go, uh-oh, uh-oh. It's scary. Some scary stuff happening there. So speaking of New York and Mamdani, I had started the hour talking about Mamdani and his free buses and what a joke this is. It's like I said, the cornerstone of his platform. He brings it up every time. I saw the Forest Hills rally that he was having with AOC and Bernie. I tuned in for a couple of seconds during a break. And there were signs all over the place. Free fast busing, rent freezes, all these big signs with people cheering. And, you know, where's the money coming from? New York's broke. There are so many vacant storefronts in New York. People are leaving. But Mamdani's got away. $700 million he's going to raise to make buses free. And somehow that's going to generate $1.4 billion in revenue. I don't know. I don't know what kind of a abacus he's using to come up with that, but that's what he says. So it must be true. Just like his Islamic aunt who was in Tanzania during 9/11, but couldn't get on a subway without being bullied. But he tells the truth. So here he is during the debate. These mayoral debates were pretty entertaining. I think Curtis did a good job calling out Cuomo and Mamdani on things. When he talked about the subway, I think Curtis did a great job mentioning the horror of crime, the filth. And one of the biggest problems and reasons for that is that they are not enforcing the fares. There are a lot of bad people that are not paying to get down onto those subways just to do people harm and steal and cause problems. And then the moderator, who obviously could not stand Curtis, said, oh, well, what are you going to do? What's your plan then? And Curtis just looks and goes, I've been saying it. Enforce the fares. Make sure people are paying. Arrest people that aren't paying. And then have communities, have people go down there and sponsor some of these stations. Have people down there making sure, you know, it's cleaned up and there are people. So it's not that you're not walking around down there alone and you're calling the cops when you see problems. And they're just like, oh, yeah. Meanwhile, that's a great idea. You enforce the fares, you're keeping 90% of the problems out of the subway. And now what he wants to do with the buses is get rid of the fares. As I've said many times, the only barrier between people using the buses for actual transportation and the people that will now be using it as homeless shelters and places to commit robbery and violence on people that are just trying to get from point A to point B. So this was during the debate, and Mamdani actually talks about the free buses costing $700 million. Listen to this.
First, I'll just say that one of the most celebrated leaders of the New York City Transit was Andy Byford, who had such a terrible experience working under Andrew Cuomo that he would rather work under Donald Trump right now.
Bomb.
The proposal that we have put forward addresses the fact that today, in the wealthiest city, in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, 1 in 5 New Yorkers cannot afford the bus fare. It would cost $700 million a year to make the slowest buses in the country fast and free. And by doing so, we would generate more than double in economic revenue for New Yorkers across the city. It would be something that would reduce assaults on bus drivers. It would increase ridership on those buses. And it would actually have environmental impacts, as fewer New Yorkers would drive their own car or take a taxi and would instead get on the bus. And I know all of this because I delivered it as a state assembly member who won the first free buses in New York City's history.
He says reduce violence against drivers by letting in mentally ill homeless people. Somehow a bus full of nuts is going to reduce the violence against the drivers. And I'll tell you where the violence against drivers comes from. It's the people that don't want to pay to get on the buses. They step up, the driver wants the fare, they say no, and they start beating up the driver because they don't want to pay the fare. Now, if you enforce the fares and you actually have cops that are allowed to do their job and arrest the people and prosecute them, then you whittle down on the violence against the drivers. Thinking that if you get people that won't pay and you ask them to pay and their answer is to beat up the driver, taking away the fare is not going to stop the violence. These people that are doing that, they love violence. And now you're putting them on a bus with people that want to go to work, want to come home from work, want to go somewhere on a weekend and can't afford it. Then you're 1 in 5 people, New Yorkers, 1 in 5 New Yorkers can't afford the bus. Are those 1 in 5 going to work? Because I have to imagine that 1 in 5 are on that bus and they don't have jobs. They can't afford the bus. But yeah, it's part of living in the city. And there are resources for people that are impoverished and they need to go to the doctor, or maybe they work for a couple of hours, whatever it is, but they fall into the category of impoverished. There are programs where you can get free MTA cards for transportation around the city. You don't make the entire bus free at the cost of $700 million to people that are actually working and paying taxes by raising their taxes, and then think it's going to generate $700 million more in revenue. You're going to pay the $700 million and get $700 million more back by making the buses free. I need to see that equation. I need to put that whole thing up on a blackboard. Let me see that formula. Because I don't think that's possible. But he thinks it is. He thinks fast. And how do you make buses faster? See, fast, free buses. I think it'll be a lot slower when the bus has to stop and the cops have to rope it off with the yellow "get the F out of here" tape because somebody was stabbed on the bus. I don't think that bus is going to be fast when they're processing the crime scene that they're going to have to process on these free buses when they become rolling homeless shelters. You idiot. You dunce. You dummy. But that's Zoran. Yes, 13,000 people right now in Forest Hills cheering him on. Cheering on his free buses. Holy mother of God. That also reminds me of the EBT thing. November 1st, the SNAP program, the EBT, all the welfare programs in the country are shut down. So nobody that is on any of the welfare programs will get their money. 40 million of them. Can you believe we pay for 40 million people to live their lives without having to work? And look, I guarantee there are people in there that can't work. They need this. They're disabled. Whatever it might be, there are legitimate reasons where they need this money. The rest of them, and I will say the vast majority of that 40 million people, are on the government teat, as they call it. They are generational welfare recipients. Their mothers, their grandmothers, everyone that is in their family ancestry for decades upon decades are getting this welfare generationally. And they are mad. They are mad that they might not get their benefits on November 1st. So what do? They threaten to go into stores and steal. I've seen unbelievable amounts of videos of people that say, if I don't get my benefits, I am stealing. I'm going to Walmart and I'm going to load up a cart and roll it out. And then the other part of it. And if anyone tries to stop me, I'm going to beat their ass. They're going to commit violence against anyone that tries to stop them. These poor Walmart workers who are working and getting a crappy paycheck and trying to figure out with that money how to split it up to buy food and shelter and transportation. And if one of these people who are actually working within the boundaries of the rules society has set up tries to stop them from stealing, they will beat them up. That's what we're dealing with in this country. 40 million or so, let's say 30 million. Let's say 10 million are actually in need of this program, these programs. How about 30 million leeches, 30 million ticks, 30 million locusts? And we have to accept that they're going to go into stores and steal and commit violence against people that want to stop them. I can't wait to see it. November 1st. Hey, I order stuff online and I'm armed, so I don't care. But be careful out there, kids. Be back in a flash with more of the show. At the Zoran Mamdani rally, I guess he took to the stage at some point. But AOC, she was saying something to the effect of, we are not the crazy ones, New York City. They want us to think we are crazy. We are sane. Well, you haven't shown that to anybody. You are all nuts. They are the crazy ones. We see it in their ridiculous protests, which are them marching around as furries, as sexual deviants, not knowing what they're even there to protest. They're holding the signs. When they're questioned about it, they don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, they are the crazy ones, AOC. And Mamdani was up there in front of the crowd saying, freeze the rent. Zoran Mamdani touts his agenda, including freezing rent, free buses, and universal child care. Again, where is the money coming from? Where is this money coming from? I can only imagine, like, obviously he's going to raise the taxes, but you can only do that so much. You can only raise taxes so much before the working, tax-paying people abandon you and leave. I know. I never wanted to leave New York. I had to. I was forced to leave New York because of things like taxes, oppressive laws that infringe on your constitutional rights, I wasn't going to take it anymore. I packed up and left. And if I'm going to leave, a lot of other people would leave. I was anchored to New York. But, universal child care, where's that coming from? And I can imagine, I know that New York City depends on the state, and Kathy Hochul, as the governor, coughing up money to Mamdani to do what he wants to do in New York City. And she endorsed him. I don't know what kind of corrupt deal they're going to make with each other. But, the entire state of New York will pay for what this commie wants to do in New York City. So just because you don't live in New York City, don't think you won't be affected by what Zoran Mamdani is going to do to New York. And a lot of your money goes through New York, stock markets and whatnot. Everything you do is going to be a little more expensive with Mamdani getting into Gracie Mansion over there in New York City. So good luck there. Good luck to you. Maybe there's a light at the end of the tunnel for all of us. Because from what I've heard, 2028 presidential election, Kamala Harris isn't out of the running. Yep, that's right. She's pushing this book. And I can't imagine any of her supporters or people that voted for her can read. I don't know who's buying this book. Maybe it's the audio version, if you want to spend hours listening to that shrill voice. But she's running. She's hinting at it. Tee-hee, look out. She's hinting at running in 2028. Do it. This woman failed miserably as a candidate in the primaries in 2020, if you remember. She didn't make it to the Iowa caucus. She dropped out before Iowa. I think in December she dropped out. So what does she think? And then she was assigned to be vice president by Biden, who went out in public and said, I'm looking for a black woman. That was his criteria. That was the only qualification you needed to be Joe Biden's VP. Are you black? Are you a woman? You're in. So did she get nominated or chosen to be his VP for her qualifications? I don't think so. Not what I get out of I want a black woman. And here she is talking about she's not done with public service just yet. Kamala Harris. Let's listen. I'm going to try to play this through the mic. It should be pretty good. It's AOC just losing her mind. What is she saying? Listen to this.
Jews escaping Holocaust, Black Americans fleeing slavery and Jim Crow, Latinos seeking a better life, Native people standing for themselves, Asian Americans coming together in Queens, in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, in Manhattan, in Staten Island, in this country.
What is she talking about? What the hell? It's so pandering. Latinas. I love when she does that. Black people getting over Jim Crow and Chinese people standing up for themselves. And the Latinas. Oh, you giving me what they call douche chills. Getting the goosebumps. It's so phony. It's just, she knows what is going to get the crowd going. She's very self-serving. She wants to, since she got into office, she's just trying to make a name for herself. So, it's so embarrassing. God, jeez. Were you able to hear that back at the studio through the phone? Okay, because I got one more. It's Kathy Hochul, and she's. I was just talking about her and wondering what kind of deal her and Mamdani made. But she took to the stage at this big rally in Forest Hills, and let's hear what she had to say.
This is about this November's election, but take that energy, that passion, and take it into 26 so that we can take back the House of Representatives, take the Senate, and take back our country. With your help, we will. Elect Soren, and we take back America. Thank you, Queens. Thank you, New York. I love you guys.
They elect Mamdani and we take back America? That sounds a little frightening. And that politicians speak. They all get it from, especially the women politicians. They get it from Hillary. And we will not stand by while you... It looks so fake now, since Donald Trump. Just getting in front of a mic and going off and riffing a little bit and what have you. It just sounds so phony. And we need to take back who speaks like that? Are you Kennedy? Ask not what Mimi Beardsley can do for your brother at the pool. No. Look up Mimi Beardsley. You'll know the hell I'm talking about. All right. Crazy. The no king thing, they're trying to make something of it. They're trying to do another one. And then they're trying to follow up with actual action because No Kings was so hugely successful. It did nothing. It was old boomers. They're even commenting on some of these talk shows, the liberal chat shows. Where were the black people? There were no black people at this No Kings thing. That was a little weird, right? If you think kings are oppressive and, government all over your stuff, you would think a bunch of black people would be out there. They were staying way clear of this. It was all boomers. They emptied out the old folks' homes, and then on the other end of the spectrum were the young imbeciles that dress up in costumes, the nose ring, the hair, all the usual stuff, the pronouns. So it really was a failure. It got numbers. People showed up for this No Kings nonsense. But it was just because around the country and in these cities, it was a nice day. It was a nice Saturday afternoon. And they just went out. But nothing will come of this. First of all, because of the fact that Trump isn't a king. You're protesting something that isn't. It's not like a war. If you protest a war, there's a war going on. And you go, well, we want this war to stop. Let's protest. You're protesting that Trump is a king and he's not, then what are you doing? There's nothing real there. So, Liz Warren, of course, she will jump on anything, like Kamala. She'll jump on anything to try to, keep her face out there and try to stay relevant. She's one of the most irrelevant politicians. She had this one shining moment as a Democrat candidate during the primaries in 2020. If you remember, she was the front runner for a couple hours, I think. She was the front runner. And they were speculating. You know how they get. It was like, oh, well, President Warren. We could have a President Warren. And then she just went right down the crapper. But that was it. And since then, for some reason, they continue to put cameras in her face, or they post, or the news will play comments when she's on social media. But here she is calling out Donald Trump as a king. But I'll take 6 or 8. Oh, enough. What a load she is. Just terrible. Everything she mentioned has this little speck of fact in it, but it's all just blown out of proportion. What Trump has done, bulldozed the entire East Wing. Like to say he bulldozed the entire East Wing. So it's not the entire White House. They want to present it that way. And as far as bringing prices down, gas, energy. Do you know how important energy is to bringing down the price of everything? It's paramount. It's like the number one thing to bringing the cost of everything else down. And fuel prices are the lowest they've been since he was president last time. The 4 years of Biden, lower than any of the years Biden was president. And he said he would bring fuel prices down in the first year of his presidency. And we're seeing that. And when fuel prices come down, when energy prices come down, the price of everything goes down. The unbelievable inflation during the Biden years was killing consumers. What happened to the egg thing? They can't even lie about egg prices anymore because egg prices are down. They have to come up with things to make Trump sound like he's failing as the president. And then the other thing, we can't let him get away with these illegal things, unconstitutional. Hey, Liz, what is unconstitutional? What's illegal? You don't think for a second that these idiots like Liz Warren and her ilk, the Democrats, the insane left, would jump all over any illegal activity Trump was up to? Or if something was truly unconstitutional, that they wouldn't take action to have him impeached again or 25th Amendment the guy? They can't find anything he's doing that is against his rights and his duties as president of the United States. Believe me, I don't think I'm breaking any ground here by telling the people listening right now that if he was doing something illegal or unconstitutional, you don't think they'd pile on top of him? They have to make up things. They have to say he's doing things that are illegal or unconstitutional. And then there's nothing. They can't proceed with any type of consequence because he's not actually doing things that are illegal or unconstitutional. They lie. They lie to you. That's what they're doing. Let us never forget that. And they will continue lying to you. I won't, though. When I return in moments, it's going to be the absolute truth. Thank you for listening.
Well, I get so irritated when I hear people complaining about what Donald Trump is doing at the White House. To me, it's a gift that he's giving them. He's so talented. He knows how to build. So they're going to get something, from someone who knows what he's doing. And I want to read something to you that I found. John Adams, when he was the first president to go into the White House, he wrote this to his wife, Abigail, and he prayed that only...
Was it the consumption, Sandra? Was it the consumption?
What do you mean?
He lost his wife?
Oh, no. He was talking about the White House. He was saying that he prayed that only honest and white leaders would rule under this roof, think not of themselves, but more of the nation, the nation's future. So in the same spirit with President Trump, he was born with this remarkable gift for building, and he has undertaken this great restoration, and this is his legacy. But it's not going to be for him, because by the time we get done, he's done there. So he's doing this for America. It's a gift to America. And, I wanted to say this, too. It's a testament to his belief that the White House does not belong to any one man, but to the people.
Right.
So when you think of Mar-a-Lago, right, you think of all those great events that he has there all the time. And this setting that they have now, it's cramped. They only hold 300 people the most. This is going to hold 1,000. It's just going to be wonderful.
You know what else? They think and they speak based on projection. It's what they think about themselves and their cronies, because they don't see it as Donald Trump building something, a lasting, beautiful addition to the White House. And they say, oh, he's building it because he doesn't plan on leaving. He's building this giant monument because he's not going to leave when his term is up. Meanwhile, he's been president already once. They said then that he wasn't going to leave. Will he accept the results of the 2020 election? Well, he didn't, but he left. He thought it was something was up, and he left. But constitutionally, at noon on Inauguration Day, he was out of the White House. And now, again, the same nonsense. He doesn't want to leave. He's building this monument. Do you know something, Sandra? I actually read a tweet from someone that said he's building a bunker underneath this ballroom, and he's going to hunker down like Hitler did in Berlin at the end of the war.
Anthony, we're dealing with very sick people.
Yes.
It's sick already. It's so crazy. This man wants to give a beautiful gift for future administrations to enjoy, which they will.
They will.
You know, there were other presidents. Franklin D. Roosevelt added a second in the second wing. He made a second story there. Nixon did his thing with the bowling alley and the swimming pool, and Bush with the solar jet panels. I mean, everybody did things, and they were all angry, but they got over it. And in the end, they loved it. This is going to be the best gift that they ever get. And many years from now, Trump is going to get that legacy. And I'm glad.
Every single president that is elected from the time that is built forward is going to love having their events in there, being seen in there, the opulence, the grandeur, as I like to say, the grandeur.
I like
they
that
are going to, any Democrat president will stand there in a tuxedo with his family going,
beautiful.
This is awesome. Absolutely. Yep. Thank you, Sandra. I always appreciate a call. She remembers when Truman remodeled. She was a young gal of 25, I believe. Oh, I'm kidding, Sandra. Don't hear many young chippies calling into my show, as we used to call them. This is an astounding story that popped up last week. It's been being investigated for years by the FBI. The NBA is entangled in some crazy scandal involving gambling. Ooh. Basketball players love to gamble. They make a lot of money, the professional ones anyway, and the ones that are professional and name, they're big athlete stars in the NBA. They make a lot of money and they gamble a lot of money. I heard somebody the other day trying to make an excuse for it. It's like, they're not gambling. They don't have gambling problems. They have an addiction to competing. They're very competitive. Like, yeah, really? Yeah, because that's what I do when I go to Atlantic City or Vegas. I'm competing against the dealer. The money doesn't matter. I just want to beat the dealer. Yeah, I don't get that whole thing. Anyway, so basically, the scam, there's like two separate scams going here, but they involve gambling. One of which is that players in the NBA have been letting people know what they'll do during the game in order for their buddies to make money betting what are called prop bets. If a basketball player, let's say, pulls himself out of the game early, and this has happened, he will not make as many points as he would have if he stayed in the whole game. And if the line that night was that this player is going to make 20 points and you pull yourself out after 10 minutes, you can bet, no, I think he's going to make under 20 points. And now you win the bet. And he called you and said, by the way, I'm going to leave the game. So your under bet is a given. So that's one thing that's been happening. The other one is a little more organized. It involves, I've heard, La Cosa Nostra, which is kind of scary. And this guy who's talking about it, these are the poker games. You get basketball players, basketball coaches, and they lure people in with their celebrity and their high stakes. You know, I play poker with these guys. They're great. High stakes games, millions of dollars. So they bring these people in to these poker games, and the game is a cheat. The whole thing is a scam. They're wearing glasses. A couple of the guys at the table are wearing glasses where they can see the suit and the card, whether it's Queen of Hearts, whatever it is, they can see that on the back of the cards. So, you know, they got an advantage and they're going to win. So they've been doing that. And this one guy is now saying that it wasn't an NBA player that lured him into one of these games. It was an NFL star. And with the mob involved, I think every single sport is tainted. Every single one. Purported victim of the Texas jewelers linked to the NBA cheating ring says he and his poker buddies were scammed out of nearly $1 million in a single night, but that the fraudsters used an ex-NFL player, not a basketball star, as their front man. The stunning claim could mean that exploding NBA gambling scandal could be much bigger than prosecutors have thought thus far. During the game, we were around a bunch of bad guys, and they were trying to suck every bit away from us, and they did. They did a good job, and I'm still shell-shocked to this day from that night. A source who did not want to be named told the Post. I wouldn't want to be named either. That sounds like some scary stuff. He said he was invited to the high-privileged, high-stakes poker game with a really solid group of people. We would never have been there if not for a professional athlete. He refused to name the athlete, but indicated it was a former NFL player. Until now, the scandals revolved around the NBA players and coaches. 2 pro basketball players are named by prosecutors in the sprawling poker case, which alleges the fraudsters and mobsters fixed the big money games using sophisticated cheating techniques like X-ray rigged card tables, crooked shufflers, and special glasses and contact lenses, according to the indictment. This is crazy. This is going to make a really good movie at some point. Basketball Hall of Famer Chauncey Billups and former NBA player Damon Jones were named. The fixers called their deep-pocket victims fish, while the high-profile athletes who lured them to the tables were called face cards. All right. Well, we'll continue with some of this and after the break, because this is a huge, huge story. A lot of people are going to be in big trouble, and the mob is involved. Finally, the mafia's back. Back in minutes with more of the show. And I said right from the start, this is going to be a professional sports scandal. I mean, think about it. Just the NBA. You don't think football, especially if it's the mafia infiltrating this and getting some of these players to do some nefarious things for money. And some of these guys, you know, they're making $25 million. You think it's a financial motivation that, you know, you can make a few bucks? And how much are they making from this? Let's say they took those card plays for $1 million that night. You're the guy that bamboozled them to sit down at this poker table. You told them it's a stand-up game, high stakes, good bunch of guys. How much are you making from that? You make $25 million. How much are you making out of the $1 million they took those fish for? I think the mob is pocketing the most of it. I don't know the mob is that generous with their proceeds. It just doesn't seem worth it. And that's where I get to the second part of this. And I mentioned this on my internet show all week long last week. Like, why would you do this? And these guys are arrested. The FBI arrested them. The mafia is involved. They could get RICO charges on them. So what do? I go, what is the lawyer going to do as a defense for these players and coaches? And I go, what better defense do you have than they said they would kill me? These are organized crime members, Goodfellas, Casino, the 5 families. And they told me I had to do this. And if I said anything to anyone, me, my family, my friends, the threats, whatever it is, and whether that was really happening or not, that is your go-to defense. That's your defense right there. Well, yesterday, a story comes out. Ex-Gambino enforcer says Chauncey Billups could have been blackmailed by the mob in the NBA poker scandal. Do this or else. It was the first thing that came to my mind. It's a perfect defense. I don't know if it's going to work, but I don't think you can come up with a better defense. Oh, I didn't know they were doing this. They were going to kill me. For them to do this, they probably knew somebody and asked him for a favor. He's got a wife he's cheating on. They caught him snorting some coke or whatever. They got him somehow. John Aliti, whatever, theorized, though there's no public evidence to suggest he's engaged in these behaviors. Well, you don't want to slander the poor gentleman. Or the suspended 49-year-old Portland Trailblazers coach could have asked the mob for help, he suggested, and then found himself in over his head. Either they're blackmailing him, or he asked for a favor in the past, and they slowly use him, and then they pull his neck, They choke him a little and tell him, do this or else. This makes a lot of sense. Basketball players are not the most loyal, trustworthy, moral people out there. There was a time we were up in Massachusetts with the O&A show, and I forgot how, but we somehow got the phone numbers of a bunch of basketball players, and we were able to check their messages. Professional Boston Celtics basketball players. And we checked their messages, and 99% of their messages were various floozies from around the country. And they were calling them and leaving messages. Hey, I see you're going to be in such and such a city this coming week. I'd like to hook up. So I can't imagine that the mob couldn't find some blackmail to use against these players to have them do what they want them to do. The other thing is the favor. Look, a lot of these guys make a lot of money, but if you're jammed up gambling, a lot of money doesn't mean a lot. If you need to pay off a debt and you don't have assets available to you right then, you will go to some pretty shady people to get that money. And they're not just going to sit back and, they're not a bank. We're not a bank, Jerry. They're not just going to sit back and collect their VIG. They're going to say, hey, maybe you don't have to pay me the VIG this week, but here's what I want you to do as far as the game goes. So I think as this investigation goes on, this is really what you're going to see starting to come to the surface. Let's see. Follow, let's see. Here's the latest on the scandal. NBAers Chauncey Billups, Scary Terry Rozier. They were both arrested in major gambling busts involving 4 mafia families. 4 of the 5. Who was the one that held out? Ming. L.A. Lakers and LeBron James. It involves 4 mafia families, the L.A. Lakers and LeBron James. Who was Damon Jones and the other NBA player and LeBron James' friend in the middle of the FBI betting poker arrests? Lakers, Raptors, Hornets, Trailblazers, all involved. Reputed mobster busted in the scandal admitted trying to violently take over the New York City garbage business. And a scammer known as Pookie in the NBA poker scandal trashed a New York City home and left behind nude self-portraits. So that's all of your NBA scandal news. How about that? It's got a little bit of everything. Some sexy scandals and gambling, the mafia. I'll tell you, I've had nightmares where somehow I got involved and under the thumb of the mob. And that's, in dreams it's scary. And then you wake up and go, oh, I'm out of trouble. Nothing better than waking up from a nightmare when it involves the cops or the mob and you're in such trouble. And then you move a little, you open your eyes and you go, hey, that was good. Now I'm out of trouble. Like if only life could be that easy. But, I'd have these dreams that the mafia, I had done something and I was indebted to them. And I had to, I'd use my broadcasting prowess. I think I had to do something like read ads that the mafia wanted me to read. I don't know. I don't think the mob really cares. Maybe back in the old days with payola, if you were a music DJ and the mob would get in cahoots with an artist or a producer, and they would go to the radio stations and go, hey, play this record and we'll give you a little something. It ended up being called payola, which is really taboo in the radio business. But other than that, I don't remember anything really after that the mafia could get you on. Hey, I want you to do a 3 for Tuesday. But I can only do, you're doing a 3 for Tuesday. Forget about it. So I don't know. I think those days are over. But the nightmares continue. The nightmares continue. ICE is catching a lot of flack from the usual suspects, the politicians and local law enforcement aren't working with them. The politicians tell the local law enforcement police that they won't be working with ICE. It's really terrible because, as I said earlier, we voted for this. Anytime I read something on Twitter, it's, hey, Trump is losing his base and he's losing his supporters because of this. And all I read in the comments is, I voted for this. This was not some secret. Everything Trump does wasn't some secret that all of a sudden he pulled out and his supporters go, oh no, what? He didn't say he was going to do this. He talked about it for years and years and years. Every rally, he got up to the podium and said, this is what I'm doing. I want illegal aliens out of this country. Joe Biden let an invasion happen, and I'm getting rid of them. We're putting ICE. We're getting more ICE agents. We're getting more Border Patrol. We're not putting them on this job where, remember when Biden said, we got a bipartisan bill and borders. You have to pay and it was all about hiring more. He goes, it's going to hire more Border Patrol. Yeah, they were going to hire more people as administrators in the Border Patrol to process the illegals that were coming over the border more quickly and efficiently. And that was supposed to take care of the border problem. And when the Republicans said, we're not signing this, they said, no, they just don't want to sign it to make Trump look good. And no, we wanted, and what Trump was promising was kicking him out. Get rid of him. Not more money to administrators and judges to process them back into our country and flying them to places like Springfield, Ohio to eat your pets. No, we want him out. Thank you very much. And for them to say things like, he's losing support because, his base didn't vote for this. We voted for this and more. And every time you read the comments on these posts, I'm like, do they read the comments on the posts they make and realize every single one is calling you an idiot and saying, no, this is exactly what we voted for? I don't know. Anyway, White House advisor Steve Miller, who has been called a Nazi. I believe Bobby De Niro was on a program and said Steve Miller was a Nazi. And he is a fascist and just an insane display of slander and defamation. Maybe when they're a little less busy, they will take people like Robert De Niro and the gals from The View, take him to court. Because he's like, Steve Miller is a Nazi. No, he is. He's a Nazi. I'll take him out back. I'll play that mug. I'll take him out. You're 108 years old, De Niro. You're not quite a Jimmy Burke from Casino anymore. You look ridiculous trying to stomp someone with a hurricane. So Steve Miller was letting the ICE agents know that even though these politicians are talking about having them arrested and convicted and doxing them and unmasked, all the things that they want to happen to these ICE agents, Steve Miller put out a pretty powerful statement as far as their protection goes. Steve?
But what we need to reassure a couple points to all ICE officers. You have federal immunity in the conduct of your duties. And anybody who lays a hand on you or tries to stop you or tries to obstruct you is committing a felony. You have immunity to perform your duties, and no one, no city official, no state official, no illegal alien, no leftist agitator or domestic insurrectionist can prevent you from fulfilling your legal obligations and duties. And the Department of Justice has made clear that if officials cross that line into obstruction, into criminal conspiracy against the United States or against ICE officers, then they will face justice.
Yep. Exactly. That's what we want to hear. And they should. Everyone from the top down. Let's take a city like Portland. If they want to send ICE agents in there to round up illegal aliens, and ICE and Border Patrol go in there to do their jobs as per the President of the United States, and anyone interferes with that, from the governor to local mayors to law enforcement, they should all be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. That's right. Damn them. Because, I mean, what good is it if these local jackasses can stop a completely legal, needed presidential directive? And you get these lower circuit court judges, the mayors of some podunk town, these lefty governors and local state senators and congress people. Enough. Right, Charlie? Charlie from Manhattan. What's up?
Anthony, you're really belaboring the whole point here. Trump was elected to accomplish certain things, right? He's the right person. He doesn't worry about what other people think. He doesn't worry about what the politicians say or what the Democrats say or generally the public says. He does what he has to do. We're living at a time that did not exist 25 years ago, where a president did what he had to do. He didn't worry about the public. He didn't worry about what other people thought. He did what he had to do as president of the United States. Period. That's it. And he's the right person for the time because he knows exactly how to handle public opinion. He knows how to handle all these contrary views about whatever the topic may be. You've heard what's been going on as far as his renovation of the White House, right?
Oh yeah, I was just talking about it. It's insane the outrage.
Well, listen,
from the
if
left.
you give the public a chance to voice their opinion, they're going to tell you everything and anything.
Right.
Anything or anything. And they don't know a damn thing about it. They don't even know that the White House has been renovated many times in the past.
No.
And do you think any one of the presidents that were in office at the time worried about what they thought about what should be done and they have to get approved? He has to get approved.
Not at all. They didn't care.
All right. So that's what it comes down to. And as I said, we're very fortunate that Trump is the type of individual that can weather the storm.
Yeah.
And he disregards whatever the general public, the Democrats or whatever, have to say about it. And that's it. That's all.
Good point, Charlie. I appreciate that. Yeah, imagine having a president right now that was so concerned about what anyone was saying about him and just folding at every turn when Chuck Schumer would say something and you just got to sit there and go, what are you doing? Do what we elected you to do. That would be a nightmare. That would be a real nightmare. And Trump is really one of the only people that will do that because he has something else to go to when he's done being a politician. He had something before he was a politician. He'll have something after. He's got a great family, plays golf with his granddaughter. He don't need this garbage. So when people call him out on things, he can turn around and tell them to go F themselves. And it's refreshing. I don't know how many times we've seen that, like the old presidents back in the day, they would do that because we weren't where we are now. The media being a propaganda wing, the Democrats and liberals bashing you, trying to call you a criminal, trying to have you arrested. You need a guy in there that's strong enough to not listen to that and not react to it. Oh, you don't like that I'm tearing down the East Wing to put up a ballroom? Tear the entire wing down and we'll rebuild it. We'll put in the ballroom. He doesn't care. He didn't go to this. All right, well, we'll have a hearing on it and we'll do this. He just said, no, we're doing it. And that's the type of president we need so bad, especially right now. Okay, back in moments with a little more of the Anthony Cumia show. Stick around. Boy, I am looking at these clips from this Mamdani rally. The sitting Democrat governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, is rallying with a devout Islamist communist, Zohran Mamdani, and the crowd is feverishly chanting, tax the rich, tax the rich. Absolutely and utterly doomed. Mamdani himself posted, good evening from Queens. New York is not for sale. What? Yeah, you're draining it. You'll just drain every person that is actually doing something, that is actually earning a living. You will tax them until they have to leave or go broke. The proverbial blood from a stone. How much do you plan on getting? So Zoran Mamdani filled the stadium. Yes, he did. At the Bernie AOC Mamdani New York City rally, the crowd is chanting tax the rich, and Governor Hochul acknowledges them. I hear you. So, again, any type of deal being made between Mamdani and Hochul, if she has plans to finance Mamdani's communist takeover of New York City, you in the state will be taxed. She seems, when the crowd is chanting tax the rich, and she says, I hear you, tax New York State's wealthy people, and then usher that money down to New York City, where Zoran Mamdani will use it for free buses, child care, state-run grocery stores, and whatever other free stuff that he is touting. Wow. Unbelievable. Who's this woman? Well, I don't want to put anything on where someone might curse. Yeah, this is going on right now, this rally. And it is a commie whirlwind over there. I didn't see any clips from Bernie yet. New York. Zoran Mamdani posts, New York City, now let's win. And it's a picture of Zoran and AOC and Bernie Sanders on stage in front of a festive crowd. Crime in NYC, it posts the blind leading the blind. No one with any sense is happy about this. Every single one of these people, I'm gonna look at the clips and see when they talk to these people that were attending this rally and see how absolutely nuts they are. Because I can't imagine one person would have a reasonable take on anything when you're looking at Mamdani's plans to tax the hell out of any constructive, actual, a person in New York that contributes to society. He's the punching bag. That's the person you're taking from. And then you're paying for programs that are abominable. Huge wastes of money. Communist programs. And then, of course, the Islam angle. Abby Stein, beyond proud to say that I voted for Zoran Mamdani. And there she is, just looking like another one of these damn liberal nuts. I hope you enjoy this, people. I really, really hope you understand what this means. New York has fallen. It's a video of a bunch of Muslims, a giant group of Muslims praying in New York City. That's what they want. That is what they want of New York. They want to make it just like Minneapolis, Dearborn, Michigan, all of these other places in the United States that have been taken over by Islamic leadership. Good luck, New York. All right, people. Hey, I definitely appreciate it. Go to my X account, Anthony Cumia, and keep track of what I'm doing there. And we'll see you back here next Sunday. Right back here. I love doing the show, and I love my audience. We'll see you next week.